Welcome back everyone, I'm Epic Daff and today we are bringing you part 1 of the Octagon Park. Today we will be building 5 unique exhibits featuring alpine, swamp and snowy environments. For this we drew a lot of inspiration from real world zoos. Let's get started. We began by tracing the base shape of the octagon with path. We actually used the Indominus Rex Paddock as a template for this park. And before you ask, yes, we are building our version of the I-Rex Paddock soon. You'll just have to wait a little longer for that video. Anyway, once the base shape was done, we were left with 8 equal spaces in which to build. Scratch that, 9. 9 spaces in which to build. And we will begin with the central exhibit. We marked this exhibit with a small landmark, something special at the center of the busiest section of the park. To achieve this, we decided to create a lowered exhibit with a central mound. We used the all hail and rock trick from our previous builds, but this time, rather than just being a decoration, it will act as the main attraction, similar to what you would find in a monkey or meerkat exhibit. With the rocks placed, we added a variety of different trees, including a few fallen pine trees. After that, we painted the terrain with a bit of rock and dirt to contrast the sand. And as a finishing touch, we added some bushes. And we were left with something like this. A trick that we used a lot in this build were the inverted aviaries, so that our pterosaurs wouldn't escape. We just love to see natural looking exhibits with flying inhabitants. And the first of these inhabitants is a family of Jeholopterus. This is actually the first time we've ever released them. And we love how natural their design looks. To accompany these tiny pterosaurs, we added a large group of Sinosauropteryx to add to the feel of a lemur-like exhibit. Look at them go, they're so tiny. The finished exhibit will look slightly different as we later came back and added a few extra bits once the expanded fences mod was updated. Thanks again Kai, you modding god. With the central exhibit done, we turned our attention to the first mountainous section. Here, we wanted to create a large mountain with a steep drop, a waterfall, and a fallen log acting as a bridge. For the fallen log part, we of course used the new log attraction. We simply added a little modding magic to improve the look. We based this design on several ram and alpine goat habitats in zoos around the world. As for the dinosaurs, we will be displaying a couple of pachycephalosaurids that will act as said goats. With the base layout done, we added a fence around the paddock. This look will change slightly, as we later switch the fence type. After setting some rocks down, we added some vegetation, mostly some pine trees and medium-sized bushes. And just like in the previous one, we added an inverted aviary to make it look as though the Tapejara are fishing by the waterfall. And here we go. A few grey-skinned Tapejara, check. A few Dracorex, check. And a few Stygimolochs hanging out by the mountainside, check. We are really happy with how the finished exhibit looks. We love the fact that you can view the dinosaurs from an elevated position as well as from the ground level. You may notice that the waterfall is missing. Don't worry, that will be added at the end of part 2. Now on to exhibit number 3, the Suchomimus Swamp. We had a lot of fun designing this one, as it reminded us a lot of crocodile and gator habitats. We can only wish that one day we can have some glass fences to be able to see on the water. We hope you're listening, Frontier. As you can see, the main attraction in this exhibit is the elevated walkway made by Zero John. We will add a link to the mod in the description so you can try it out yourself. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a way to access it in first person, but if you just jump into camera mode, you'll be able to enjoy the view. We also made sure to add a viewing dome to increase visibility within the paddock. By adding the tropical foliage, we were able to really blend the swamp with the rest of the alpine theme of the park. Later on, we replaced the invisible fences with the new log fences made by Volodymyr, which better fit the rest of the paddock. Alongside the pair of Suchomimus, we added a small pack of Proceratosaurus, displaying some really colorful crests. With the swamp done, we began the second Alpine exhibit. For this one, we wanted to include a couple of hotels sitting atop a mountain to add a sense of immersion whilst pteranodons fly by. This was only possible with the new assets made by Zero John. In order to have a lot of pterosaurs and not affect the terrain, we had to build multiple inverted aviaries. In the end, we felt that something was missing, so we added a second hotel to complete the Alpine Resort complex. A few extra trees, and it's done! Now on to the final exhibit, the Den. This last one was based on the meerkat exhibit featured at our local zoo. We first placed a viewing dome in the center, and then covered it with rock to create the illusion of a burrow or den under a hill. By now you probably know that we love to create structures with rocks. Just look at how we build the floating islands of Pandora. Anyway, after moving a lot of rocks around, we were left with this gorgeous looking den. All we had to do is add a few finishing touches such as tiny rocks, a few bushes, and some feeders. This paddock was designed for two small species, Lestrosaurus and Oviraptor. And just as with the swamp exhibit, you'll be able to observe the animals from the elevated path and the viewing dome. To make it look a little like a tundra biome, we added some of the malta trees and plants, and it actually turned out amazing. We are really focusing on making these exhibits feel alive, like animals actually live there and interact with their environment. What do you think? Did we succeed? And that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tune in next week for part 2 and the final park showcase. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay awesome, guys.